welcome to the Orbital Sword. I'm David Moulton.
I'm Scott Herzog.
And I'm Jim Arrowwood.
And we're just here to let you know who we are and what we're doing. The three of us used to run a podcast called the Dune Saga Podcast. Ran that for a couple of years, but we were reviewing books based solely in the Dune universe.
Yeah, all of the Dune universe. Everything from Frank Herbert, the quintessential Frank Herbert, down to Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Herbert. Even had a chance to talk with Brian.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice podcast. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So if you're curious about checking out some of our history, head on over to the DuneSagaPodcast.com. We're also in iTunes and pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. But what we're going to be doing here is a book club for sci-fi and fantasy. And we're hoping to be really user interactive. We had some good interaction with the Dune podcast, and we're hoping to bleed that over here. Nice way of doing things. But to get us started, we're going to be reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
So before we keep going, let's just give a little introduction for ourselves, and then we'll see you guys in the first episode later. Me, myself, I have a history working with podcasts with the Landcast, and I work sometimes with Scott's podcast, the Sci-Fi Diner, and then the Dune podcast, and I work in production and other stuff on the side as well. So that's my general spiel.
That's your general spiel.
That's right.
Jim, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I teach K-12 vocal instrumental music at a small school in central Nebraska, and I write a blog, Jim's Sci-Fi Blogs.blogspot.com, and I'm also a one of the hosts on the Babylon Project podcast, and I have contributed in the past to other podcasts such as Sci-Fi Diner, and that's about it.
Very cool, very cool. Well, it's really been cool to see your blog and see what you've come up with. And my understanding is you're also doing in the quintessential. I like that word today, by the way. Autograph collector that you are becoming.
Yeah, I've just kind of gotten into that, and through the mail autograph collecting, get a couple of pictures. Write a nice letter and send it off to whomever and see what I get back. And I've gotten Rene Aubergenois. I've gotten Mark Alamo. He was Gul Dukat. I've gotten Scott Bakula.
Very cool.
Armin Shimmerman. I've gotten quite a few back. So
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Wow, it is. That's awesome. You don't hear a lot of people mailing for autographs like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
It's a pretty good sized community, and we either get along or we don't. There are those out there that they want to be successful themselves, but they don't want anybody else to be successful.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I mean, share the love in this community. That's for sure. So
yeah.
So well, for myself, my name is Scott Herzog, as we introduced ourselves earlier on, and been podcasting now probably for about as long as David. It's been about 9 years. I can't believe I've been podcasting almost 9 years.
Crazy.
The Diner's been on the air about 8.5 of those.
Ooh, wow.
So yeah, we go back. We're about to hit our 300th episode, which is actually a misnomer because we did a bunch of listener feedback episodes that aren't counted in that, about 100 of them. And then there were some other side episodes. So I bet we're closer to 450 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but since we started numbering, and we just began around episode 200, we began to number everything. So now we're at about 300.
Wow.
So, but anyway,
That's no small feat, man.
No, it's not. So Sci-Fi Diner Podcast is a podcast that started out of a passion that I got together with a group of guys. We began to just talk about science fiction in general. And we said, well, why don't we just podcast it? And then the original co-host dropped out, and I brought in Miles McLaughlin, who, if you listen to the podcast, is still a part of it. Deals with me harassing him after many, many episodes. And we've added a third host, M Garcia, and M. Sierra Garcia, and then she gives a female presence to the show, and is a little bit more snarky than we are. But it's really good, and We're excited. We do a lot of interviews on the show, a lot of B-list celebrities, but people that you would know from the science fiction community. And so that's been fun. And obviously through that ran into you, David, and through that ran into you, Jim. And we just said, you know what? We like each other enough. Let's do a podcast on Dune. And so we started the Dune Saga podcast about 3 to 4 years ago, and liked each other enough at the end of that saying, let's go ahead and do another podcast and allow it to be more general science fiction, maybe even a little bit of fantasy in there, although we had to twist Jim's arm to do fantasy. But and hence we came up with the Orbital Sword. So a spaceship that looks like a sword, hence the fantasy tie-in, yet still it's in orbit, so it has to be space. And so we're really kind of jacked about that, and really excited to be delving into maybe some contemporary science fiction and some older science fiction. And my understanding is, David, that we're going to start with some older science fiction first.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be doing The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy first.
Never heard of it.
It's a small book. No one's really read it.
Yeah, you know.
And then I think we're doing Ringworld second, and then hopefully from there we'll start to get some voting from our fans as to what we'll read next. And our general goal is to read what you guys want to hear about. And
absolutely.
That's
Jim, why don't you tell us how they can find out what they're reading and also contribute to the podcast?
Oh, you caught me flat-footed.
Well, no, just okay. We can edit this out. But I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about the Goodreads site. Are you okay, or should I go?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Here I go. 3, 2, 1. Well, what we've done is we have set up a page on Goodreads for the Orbital Sword podcast, and hang on.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot here.
That's okay. I just need to get the thing open again.
Yeah.
he was busy studying some new loot songs he's got.
Wait. We're bringing the loot back into this? That's never going to die.
He was tabbed out on another screen.
Just learning loot music while riding a sandworm.
Okay, so anyway, to continue, on Goodreads, we have the Orbital Sword Podcast group, and anybody can join. We'll take anybody in, and what we'll put up there mostly we'll put notifications of what we're going to be reading, and we will be putting up polls with lists of books that we would like to read as time goes on, and there'll be a list, possibly, probably, and then our listeners can vote, and whatever gets the most votes we'll read, and hopefully I can even make a slot for a 4th or 5th suggestion. So
right. So the idea is that you can send in via email to the orbitalsword@gmail.com. Look up Orbital Sword on our Facebook page, or you can say, hey, we want to read this. And we're going to we can't probably put everyone's suggestions in, but we'll put some of them in each time to throw into a vote. Maybe some of our suggestions mixed in there, and we'll see how the vote goes. And then whatever you guys decide, we will read.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It'll keep us from getting hung up on any specific series or anything that kind of bores anyone who's listening. We'll only be reading what's prominent.
Well, and I'm hoping that it'll open up things for me, especially because there's a lot of stuff out there I haven't read.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a vast quantity of science fiction I've only.
Yeah, I mean I feel like I know stuff, and then I talk with Jim's co-host with the Babylon 5 project, Raul, and he knows his books, and he just starts spouting authors and names of books, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Hopefully I'll learn someday. Right.
So, I mean, there's so much we can delve into. And so our hope is that this becomes, in a sense, like a book club for us, that an online book club where we talk about the books we're reading, and you can join us through podcasting or sending in your thoughts and comments to the books we're reading. Again, doing that via email or posting it on the Facebook page. and are posting it even to the Goodreads community, and we can share that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think that about
Yeah,
gets
that's
us going.
Yeah. So there's not going to be a lot of a break between this introduction and when we put out The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But we will be reading Larry Niven's Ring World, which you can participate in. So I assume that by the time you hear that, we'll be on our way to next month and a half to reading that, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that sounds good. I think that's about it.
Well, let's sail off. Once again, I'm David Moulton.
I'm Scott Herzog.
And I'm Jim Arrowwood.
And may Shia Lude. God, I'm just kidding. I'm
do
just
need a
kidding.
tagline.
We do need a tagline. Well, we can figure that out later.
Down the hatches. And
Yeah.
sail off or something.
Whoop, whoop. All right.